Secretary Patil deal with the energy sector's powerful politicians and businessmen. South Korea suspends its third attempt to send a satellite into orbit. And Tagalog is the fastest growing among 200 languages spoken in Canada. Hello, I'm Maria Ressa. Welcome to Rappler, your social news network. President Aquino confirms outgoing Leyte Governor Jericho Petilla will replace Rene Almendras as Energy Secretary 10 days after it was first reported. The country's new Energy Secretary assumes the post at a time when parts of the country experience blackouts, power bills inch up, and the 2013 midterm elections are months away. The energy portfolio is one of the key cabinet positions that interact directly with politicians, businessmen, and non-government organizations. The energy sector is still being overhauled following a landmark law which puts the generation and transmission of energy into private hands. Petilla will have to deal with the country's biggest business groups, including San Miguel, Lopez, Aboitiz, T.C., Pangilinan, Ayala, who all want to keep their existing stakes or create new ones in the lucrative industry. Blackouts are expected to increase in Mindanao in 2013, an election year, the most pressing issue Petilla will inherit. Mindanao is still dependent on hydroelectric plants along the Agus and Pulangi rivers, and the region is expected to be hit by droughts in summer. Petilla will also have to deal with a number of electric cooperatives delinquent in paying the cost of power they source from the grid, estimated at 13.5 billion pesos. Chinese politician Bo Xilai has been expelled from the country's parliament and stripped of his parliamentary immunity. This paves the way for the filing of formal criminal charges against him. Bo is accused of corruption and of covering up the murder of British businessman Neil Heywood. Bo's wife, Gu Kailai, was convicted in August 20th and handed a suspended death sentence for the poisoning of Heywood. Bo's former police chief, Wang Lijun, was convicted a month later for covering up the murder. Prior to the scandal, Bo Xilai was widely seen as a rising political leader in China's secretive Communist Party. His expulsion comes just weeks before the party's National Congress on November 8th, where a major leadership transition will take place. National Treasurer Roberto Tan will leave his post to become an executive director of the World Bank starting November 1. Tan will represent a group of member countries, including the Philippines, on the bank's board for the next 2 years. Though Tan's replacement at the Bureau of Treasury is not yet known, Deputy Treasurer Eduardo Mendiola is expected to assume the post. Tan was first appointed as National Treasurer in 2008 by former President Gloria Arroyo. President Benigno Aquino reappointed him in 2010. The Commission on Elections adds 5 more to its official list of senatorial candidates for the 2013 elections. This brings the total number of qualified bets to 32. COMELEC Chairman Sixto Brillantes Jr. says this is the final list. The official list will be released Monday, will include new names and faces from the business, legal, and NGO sector. Japan's cabinet approves a $5.3 billion stimulus package to boost its stuttering economy and counter weak growth projections. Japan's government hopes the fresh injection of cash will arrest deflation and jumpstart the economy. It grew by only 0.2% in the second quarter of 2012. Analysts say the impact of the package on the Japanese economy appears limited, but the move could send a message to the market and the Bank of Japan that the government is taking action. Of the $5.3 billion, about $212 million will be used to beef up Japan's Coast Guard at a time of heightened tensions between Japan, China, and South Korea over disputed islands in the East China Sea. South Korea suspends its third attempt to send a satellite into orbit by at least 3 days after a helium leak was detected in the rocket hours before the scheduled launch time. Naro Space Center officials say further delay could result in a much lengthier postponement. They only have a 5-day launch window that ends on October 30th. After 2 previous failures in 2009 and 2010, the current launch is considered critical for South Korea's efforts to join an elite space club that includes Asian powers China, Japan, and India. Well, let's now look at Rappler's Wrap for today, a list of the 10 most important events around the world you shouldn't miss. At number 2, Barack Obama becomes the first U.S. president to cast an early vote October 25, delighting supporters on a quick trip to his hometown in Chicago. He then sets course for a late-night rally in Ohio 12 days before America goes to the polls. The president's campaign aides are privately signaling increasing confidence that he will prevail over Republican Mitt Romney on November 6. But Romney also seeks to convince his supporters that he will spend the next 4 years in the White House. At a stop at a campaign office, Obama warned supporters, quote, "If we let up and our voters don't turn out, we could lose this election. Now the good news is, if our voters do turn out, we will definitely win the election." At number 3, a new wave of communal unrest in western Myanmar has killed at least 20 people, forcing thousands to flee their homes and prompting the UN to express grave concern. Hundreds of homes have been burnt in the fresh unrest in Rakhine State, which was convulsed by Buddhist-Muslim clashes in June. The tore apart communities and left tens of thousands of mainly Muslim Rohingya languishing in camps. The United Nations said in a statement it was, quote, "gravely concerned at the resurgence of violence," and called for calm, while the United States pleaded for, quote, "an immediate halt to the clashes." More than 100 people have now been killed in the state since June. At number 5, Tagalog is the fastest growing language among the 200 languages spoken in Canada. This is according to the latest Canadian census. Statistics Canada's 2011 census found that the number of Canadian residents who reported using Tagalog or Filipino at home grew 64% to nearly 279,000 from 170,000 in 2006 when the last census was conducted. Tagalog is the 7th most commonly spoken language among immigrant families in Canada, behind Punjabi, Chinese, Spanish, Italian, German, and Cantonese. In 2008, the Philippines took over China as Canada's largest source of foreign workers. And at number 7, Apple now wants to dominate our cars. Bloomberg reported that Apple Inc. is in crucial talks with major music labels to begin a streaming radio service by early 2013. Apple's move will put it head-to-head with radio leader Pandora Media Inc., which relies on a compulsory license that limits how many times an hour an artist can be played. Apple is negotiating with music companies for more flexibility and earlier access to new releases. U.S. data shows Americans listen to car radios an average of 2 hours a day. For the full top 10, visit Rappler.com's The Wrap. The Muslim community celebrates one of the greatest feasts of Islam today, Friday, known as the Feast of Sacrifice. Eid al-Adha pays tribute to the willingness of Prophet Abraham to sacrifice his son Ismail. It's celebrated for 4 days to mark the end of Hajj, or the Muslim pilgrimage to Mecca in Saudi Arabia. Well, every story on Rappler has its own mood meter, which gives you 8 emotions to choose from. Click on how you feel, and your vote will come down and be pulled together by the Mood Navigator at the center of Rappler's front page. The Mood Navigator crowdsources the mood of the day and places the top 10 stories that have gotten the most number of hits, votes on the mood meter, and puts it on the front page. Today, we can take a look. The story today, Duterte wants car thief dead, alive, or beheaded, posted this morning, 61% happy. And we have Almendras is secretary to the cabinet, 69% happy, all contributing to the mood of the day. Today, most people are happy. Well, that's Rappler's Newscast for today, Friday, October 26, 2012. Visit Rappler.com and watch our newscast Monday to Friday. Tell us how you feel on our mood meter and help us crowdsource the mood of the day. I'm Maria Ressa. Happy Eid al-Adha. As we say at Rappler, tomorrow begins today.